That's good. Good news. I have two pet peeves in this world, and I'm going to share them with you this morning. The first is hiccups. Why? I hate them so much. I know as a pastor I'm not supposed to use the word hate, but this is something I truly despise. Hiccups. Once I get them, I try everything. I do the breath technique. I'm doubled over. I've tried being upside down. I drink the water. I've tried the sugar. I've watched the scary movies. Nothing happens, and they hang out forever. Why I know that there's a scientific reason why they exist. I don't care about science in this particular case. I hate hiccups. So that's the first thing you need to know about me. The second thing that I despise, my other pet peeve, is losing things. I don't know what it is, but from this week has just been terrible. And I think particularly this week, because I had already written this part of my sermon, I lost everything. I could not find my wallet. I couldn't find my keys. Where is those bike shorts I've misplaced that were somewhere? Who keeps moving my briefcase? I'm like that dude from the Lego movie who keeps shouting, "Honey, where are my pants?" The younger kids got that reference, so you're welcome. I hate losing things, and it happens to me more often than I would care to admit to you all this morning. I know that there are some good practices, like putting things back, always in the same location. My wife will tell you I'm not the most organized of souls. Like if you've been by my office here at church, you can witness this. You can just poke your head in and say, "Oh, yeah, nope, not organized." But I know you don't believe me when I tell you every pile has its place. And everything a place in that pile. So it's totally cool. I know where it is most of the time. This morning's parable, this morning's text is about something that has been lost and found, but it's not as simple as all that. Let us look in Matthew chapter 18, starting in verse 10. Hear these words. "Take care that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I tell you, in heaven their angels continually see the face of my Father in heaven. What do you think? If a shepherd has 100 sheep, and one of them has gone astray, does he not leave the 99 on the mountain and go in search of the one that went astray? And if he finds it, truly I tell you, he rejoices over it more than over the 99 that never went away. So it is not the will of your Father in heaven that one of these little ones should be lost." This morning's text is a continuation of a text I read a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Jesus the teacher, where Jesus brings in a young child in the midst of all these adults and says we are to have a childlike faith, that we are to sort of adopt the beginner's mind, or the mind of someone who is teachable, ready to be awed once more, ready to be inspired once more, not knowing what we know of the cruelty of the world, but setting that aside and entering into this place where we can see God again in a new way. In this text, as it continues, we have Jesus continuing on this theme of these little ones, or these ones that are maybe starting out in their journey of faith, or maybe they've been part of the faith for a while, but for whatever reason they've drifted away. Or maybe these are people of faith who sort of see things differently than the rest of the crowd. And Jesus is clear in this parable, in this story, that the disciples are not to sort of give harsh judgment on these folks. Instead, to recognize that God loves them just as much as God loves the rest of us. That God loves us all together. And that God is relentlessly pursuing, relentlessly searching for these people who are growing in their faith, who see God differently, who might have drifted away from faith over time for a variety of reasons. Who knows? The parable doesn't say. John Dominic Crossan, he's a theologian and a biblical scholar, he calls this parable a reversal parable. A reversal parable is one in which as you're reading the story, it sort of flips the way we think about things upside down. But he also goes on to say there's a problem with this particular parable in the sense that we're all too familiar with it. We're all too familiar in seeing Jesus as the good shepherd, the one who takes care of the flock. And so it sort of loses its punch that it had in the first century world. Who in their right mind leaves 99 sheep to go look for the one that has went astray? It's just one. That's tough. That one's gone. I have 99 safe and secure. It doesn't say the shepherd went and locked it up safely in a secure pen. No, it says the shepherd left the 99 on the mountainside. Do you know what's in the mountains? Scary things. I'm going to Colorado this summer for vacation, and there are bears there. Mountains are dangerous places for sheep to be sort of left unattended, and yet that's exactly what the shepherd does. Let me put it in today's words. There was an investment banker who left her millions in the public park to go look for a penny she had lost along the way. And once she had found the penny, she came back, rejoiced with everyone else, and threw a block party. Who does that? I'm not picking up the phone to say, hey, can I invest with you? That's dangerous. It's reckless. It shouldn't happen. It's not the way the world works. And that's exactly the point Jesus is trying to make. God is like that investment banker. God is like the shepherd who, yes, loves the sheep that are safe and secure from all alarms, as the hymn says, in pursuit of the one who, for whatever reason, has lost their way or longs to hear for a different kind of message. Now, this is where I'm going to change this sermon and put aside all the things I wrote earlier in the week, because I've had two incredible experiences this past week that I just have to share with you. Thursday night, I was fortunate enough to go to a worship service, an interfaith worship service called Proclaiming Pride. My friend Tyler put together this worship service as we begin the weekend of Pride, Kansas City Pride, the celebration of all kinds of people, LGBTQ plus community, downtown Berkeley Park. And they had a worship service at Community Christian Church. And so I went. And it was one of the most impactful, meaningful worship services I've been to in a long time. I heard a poet there pour out her heart about God's love for all people and the journey that she had been on. I heard someone speak about his coming out moment and how hard it was for him in church, and longed for a church that would just welcome and love him for who he was. I cried in that service. I felt God's Spirit move in that service. And in that moment, I wondered who was lost. And I realized it was me. Yesterday, I spent some time down at KC Pride. Our region has a booth set up down there. And at that booth are all the disciples' churches listed in the region that are open and affirming. I made up some cards, some Lee Summit Christian Church cards. They look good. Rebecca helped me. I had about 20 or 30 people walk by, and they picked up a Lee Summit Christian Church card, and they asked me, I didn't know there was a church in Lee Summit who welcomed someone like me. I said, you bet, I'm the pastor there. Let's talk. Someone from Springfield, Missouri came by and said, do you know of any churches in Springfield? It took me about 20 minutes, but I knew the Disciples Church. I just couldn't remember the name. I listened as she told me her story. We connected there for several minutes, and it was amazing. Someone who had just had the courage to tell her parents who she was and longed for a community that would welcome her just as she is. And I wondered, who was lost? It was me. Because I have become safe and secure. I am part of the 99, thinking that I have everything all figured out. I've been thinking a lot about this word salvation. It's a powerful word. And I think we've lost its meaning over time. We used to just think salvation was about saving us from eternal damnation, a hell somewhere out there that we can't see. And that once I confessed Jesus as my Lord and Savior, once I entered into the waters of baptism, everything was good. I punched my ticket. I got my life or my fire insurance, right? And now I have it all figured out. And I became safe. And I became secure. And then Jesus throws a parable like this one at us. And says, did you know that God loves the 99? Oh, God loves the 99. But did you also know that God loves the one? The one that the world has told cannot be loved. The one the world has told is unworthy. Forget about it. It's just one sheep out there. We've got 99 safe ones. Let's just focus on these. And this parable punches me in the gut and reminds me, no, God is relentlessly pursuing the one, pursuing all of us, pursuing us all, no matter how close or how far we might feel from God, that God loves us so much that God will continue to reach out, continue to seek us no matter how hard or how difficult the road might be. And that is salvation. That is salvation. When we begin to set aside, maybe the thing that we need to be saved from, church, now I'm going to talk to us because I'm with you. I'm going to talk to myself. I don't want you to feel bad. Maybe the thing I need to be saved from is my own comfort. Do you hear me, church? Sometimes the thing I need to be saved from is my own safety. Because following God is risky. It's leaving the millions in the park unattended. It's leaving the sheep on the mountainside. It's pursuing the one. Now, I'm not saying this is why I lose things, but there is a euphoric feeling when you find it. You know what I'm talking about? All you guys shaking your heads and ladies too, yes. When you find it, oh man. There's such a euphoria, a joy that sweeps over you. Of course, that's where I left my keys. I didn't lose my wallet in the car. Here it is. I have everything I need. Life is good once again. That euphoria sweeps over you. That's what it feels like to be found. Before you were anxious, before you were worried, before you were even terrified, did I leave it in a place that I shouldn't have left that thing? But once you secure it, once you have found it, there is a euphoria and a joy that sweeps over you. And it's a lot what I imagine God feels like every time we leave the safety and security of church on a Sunday morning and go into the world to find someone who has been told that they aren't loved, that they aren't cared for. It's the joy and euphoria that I imagine that person feels. Receiving a hug from a stranger, with their permission, of course, recognizing that you are sharing God's love in a very real, very present, very tangible way, because friends, that is what we're called to do. That's just, I can't change that. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say, no, that's for some Christians and not us. That is exactly what we're called to do. The parable challenges us. All these faces of Jesus have been challenging us: the mystic, the teacher, the rebel. Could you imagine a church full of rebels that left every Sunday morning to go find someone that they knew was hurting? Someone that they knew felt alone or scared? Lost. And tell them the God's honest truth, that there is a group of people right here in Lee Summit, no less, that loves them, that cares for them, that will show actions, not just words. Could you imagine, church, such a place? I think I'm going to use that word salvation a little more these days, because I do think there are plenty of people in this world that have a voice in their head or a voice in their community that are telling them that they're not enough. And they need to be saved from that. They need to be reminded that they're absolutely enough and that God loves them just as they are. Will you be those people? I think you will.